So, hello everyone, and welcome to this live event that we have with April. April Edwards, and we're gonna talk about, well, see where we get to. We had the topics idea for making creative time inside a full working and parenting life, and we'll see where we go from here because we haven't planned that much, or hardly have planned anything in advance. So it's gonna be a lot of just seeing where it goes. And if you have any questions, always feel free to ask. But so, April, feel free to introduce yourself and what you write about.
Yeah. So my name is April Edwards. I'm on Substack and I'm talking about creative living, also your personal curriculum and your reading list, and just things that you can do to make you feel alive again. I like to fight against the monotony of adult life. I have 4 kids. I homeschool. I was a teacher. I get what it's like to be in a life where you wake up in the morning and you're like, is this it? This is so boring. Like, I've worked so hard and then here I am bored. And so I fight against that with creativity and reading books and finding new hobbies and just kind of slowing down and enjoying the analog pieces of life. So
that sounds really great, and you have many wonderful messages there to share with people. Like, and then again, I'm Dan Ackers, and I write about basically I try to notice hidden patterns inside our ordinary lives, and then just bringing them out to, or showing them through my essays and what I write about, and both in my notes and my essays about. So, and hopefully that will help people to recognize their lives in a different way. You you brought up like you do when you have the homeschooling kids, and then you feel like it's a lot of monotony in your adult life. So what kind of ways did you start, or how did you feel like how you noticed that monotony creeping up, and when did you actually notice it, and what did you start doing after that?
Yeah, so in about, it was like 2019, so it was quite a while ago. It was like 7 years ago. I hit burnout, where I had said yes to so many things in my life, and I had agreed to do so many things for so many people that I had reached a point where I no longer was saying yes to myself, and not in like a selfish way, just in like an actual manageable way. And I was running myself in so many directions that I had no recovery time. I had no margin, and I was just worn out and cranky, and I became really resentful. And I knew that the life that I built, I wanted to keep that life. I didn't want to do anything crazy where I destroyed my life, or I damaged relationships, or I damaged my marriage. And so I knew that I needed to set some boundaries and make some changes within myself, because what I had agreed to was not working. And everyone around me was fine with all the things I'd agreed to, but I wasn't. And so I knew I needed to kind of do some redefinition and draw some boundaries, and also really look at, what do I want to invest my time in? What committees do I want to agree to do? What co-ops, what classes do I want to agree to teach? Should I be babysitting other people's children? Like, just, I had spread myself so thin that my own family wasn't getting the best of me, and I wasn't getting the best of who I could be with myself. So, yeah.
And then once you started setting those boundaries, how did that process go when you actually started setting those boundaries and then getting to a point where you actually had more time for yourself?
Yeah, it was awful. Everybody was not happy. I had to start saying no. I had to stop being a people pleaser, and I had to start saying no for myself. And it was shocking to a lot of extended family and a lot of the community that I'm in, a lot of people that relied on me for a lot of things, because I'm a bit of an overachiever. And so when I say yes to something, I don't just like halfway show up to it. I go like 1,000%. And so I was doing a lot of things for a lot of people, and they were shocked when I started saying no. So it was incredibly hard. It was incredibly hard. But the alternative was, like, I was throwing up, I was miserable, I couldn't get off the couch because like my body was like, nope, you're done. Like we
Uh,
can't keep going at this speed anymore. And
where Yeah. Where all of those tasks you were doing, like where all of those like individual tasks, were all of them like, you know, things you still like doing, but they were just too
no.
many, or were there actually tasks in between that you very much disliked as well?
Yeah, a lot of it was just stuff that I felt obligated to do as a parent or as a community member, as a church person or whatever. It was things that I had agreed to, and I didn't even find joy in them anymore. And
Mm.
so once I started drawing boundaries, I realized, oh, I can actually choose what I'm spending my time on, and I can actually choose things that I enjoy and a lot of it was just also my approach that I was taking too. I was choosing to do things because I had been asked to, not because I was either good at it or because I wanted to do it. And so, making space for writing was something that I never would have expected I would have time for. And yet I've been able to draw some boundaries and then weave that into my life. And it brings me so much joy and clarity. And I never would have, like, if you would have talked to me 8 years ago, I'd have been like, there's no way I would have time in my life for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So nowadays, then, well, you actually bring a good segue into the actual topic we're gonna of our planning. Like, how do you, when you now weave in writing to your like busy life, when you're probably still working and you have a parent or parenting at the same time, like how do you manage that for yourself?
Yeah. So I homeschool my two youngest kids. My older kids are graduated, so I have two young adults, and my oldest just got married this summer, and her husband have been living with us, and my son-in-law, they've been living with us this summer, and then I've got extra young adults from like their friends and people that are at my house, and so this summer has been very unique because there's just been a lot going on. And my writing life has had to shrink quite a bit. It's kind of been in the cracks and the crevices of time. But
Hmm.
in the school year, when all of them are at college or they're living their young adult lives, I do homeschooling in the morning until about 1 o'clock. And then the kids move to more like independent work and also like their own activities and they have downtime and free time and they, piano practice and all those things that they don't need me for because they're
Mm.
older. And I go to my office and I have my office space and I work on my writing work in the afternoon. And then at some point in the later evening, I switch to household tasks. And then I work on running my household and managing my household and making dinner and
Yeah, yeah.
getting kids to where they need to go and, all of those things. So I have like blocks of time throughout the day where I really focus on specific areas. And then a lot of times in the evenings, I'm also serving at our church or volunteering. And so I just kind of focus on each block of time and work my way through that. But yeah. What about you? How do
Uh,
you, because I know you have kids, right? How do you manage
yeah.
your creative life?
Time blocking is a very effective tool to get the tasks done. Like during the regular year, basically, or regular work time, like, or when I'm working as well. Right now, I'm on a holiday, so it's a little bit different. But during the regular work times, like, obviously, I don't want to tell my employer too much about this, but there's enough due to how my work goes on. I have some cracks and downtime here and there where I am able to work to write a little bit in between, and I do try and take full advantage of the time in between the actual work tasks I need to do. And
Mhm.
then at home, if I'm looking after kids and I can see that they're very perfectly happy playing with each other or playing by themselves, I mean, I just let them and try to pull up my laptop instead. Then obviously, then if they come and ask me for something, then I'll have to respond and go wherever and do whatever it is that they ask. And that's also one of my latest posts was about when the kids came and interrupted me from my when I was trying to write all over and over again. So it doesn't always work when you're trying to do that, but sometimes it does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I find,
yeah, like right now I have to kind of steal the time whenever I get the chance to do it. Like I don't really have I'm not like when I'm the normal work schedule, then yes, I'm able to time block stuff here and there.
mm-hmm.
But when I'm like this normal, or when we're at home on vacation, I just steal time whenever I can.
Yeah, I find for me, like if I expect to be interrupted and if I know that I'm going to be interrupted, then I can pick specific tasks where I'm okay with getting interrupted. But if I'm trying to do deep work when my kids are in the room, or if I'm co-working at the table with my other young adults, or if I'm in a coffee shop with them or whatever, and I'm trying to do deep work in that scenario, then I just get frustrated. Whereas if I pick things where I can get easily interrupted and I can go in and out of that task without a lot of attention residue, then I'm fine with it. Like I have to pick specific tasks for being able to be interrupted.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that you get the chance to pick and choose what tasks you do and if you know you're probably going to get interrupted. This works some of the time because some of the writing tasks you do on Substack allow yourself to be interrupted as well. For example, replying to other people's messages or just going through the notes feed. At that point, you don't mind getting interrupted at all because, well, your job there is all about getting interrupted.
Yeah.
So, Chanakia asked a question here about like how we could find balance between work and writing, because you find it super hard to keep writing with school and work and your studies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. I can start my experience here, and you can continue from there, April. My opinion, like in my experience, is basically time blocking is the most effective way. That the same way you have for your example, you probably have a school schedule where you have classes here and there throughout the day. In a similar manner, you time block a certain part of your day when you do the homework, and then some part of the day when you do the writing stuff. And that particular time block is just then dedicated to that part. I would argue that's the easiest way probably to manage it, because I don't really have that's the best way I've found, and I try to follow that as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I put it on my calendar and I make it like an appointment with myself. Like this is the chunk of when I'm going to do writing. I don't just start my day and go, well, maybe I'll fit writing in. Like, no, it has a place on my calendar every single day. It might not be the same place every single day, depending on what's happening or who's in my household or what I'm in charge of. But I do have a place in my day every single day where I say I'm going to do some writing. And sometimes that looks like half an hour and it's just checking in on, like you said, comments or replying or going in and commenting on other people's posts, and maybe it's just like a quick check-in. Other times it's like a few hours of deep work if it's a major project that I'm working on. So I think it's important to block it into your calendar and not just see it as like another task, but also I think it's really important to choose tasks that are different than what you've been doing. So it looks like you have school and you have studies. And if you're writing papers for school and then you go straight from writing a paper from school into your own personal writing, that would be really hard. Like that's doing the same kinds of, let's just bring it back to like a different example. That would be like somebody who works at a restaurant washing dishes and then coming home to their house with a sink full of dishes and trying to be inspired to wash their own dishes. Like, no, nobody wants to do that when you've been doing that. You know what I mean? Like, it's the mechanic that never works on their own car. It's that kind of thing. So when you're doing writing tasks for something else like school or your work, it might help to like go do a workout or clean your house or work on a school task that's outside of writing or works with your brain in a different way, maybe research or something else, and then move into your own personal writing after you've had some space to do that. Because I find it really difficult to go from, major writing thing to major writing thing. Does that make sense?
To me, at least, it does, because I agree that context switching in that sense, like from one major writing thing to a second one, is very hard. And then there's the can't really force the creative juices to flow at a set time. That's true. And that's why also you gotta accept that some days you literally just write for like 15 minutes and you just say, screw it, I can't continue with this. And then there's some days when you get started and then suddenly 5 hours have flown by. Like it's one of those things that it's gonna some days are gonna be great and you just write a lot, and then there's gonna be those days that nothing seems to work, and I mean you can't do much about them. You just accept that they're part of life.
Yeah,
that's my experience with that.
Yeah, something that helps me with creative flow is I have a specific playlist. I use like lo-fi, or I do classical versions of pop music. I don't know, it's a thing. But having a writing playlist.
You're right. Actually, music helps a lot. I've been using that as well. There's something called brain.fm. They have a playlist on Spotify that's actually really good for that. And but what I do is just I always just press that on when I'm about to go into work and let it go. Well, if that's better for you, if you prefer in silence, that's also fine.
Yeah. Yeah, silence is good. Another thing is like lighting a candle, or getting a specific, like having a drink, making it like having some kind of a ritual that tells your body, I am now in writing mode. And sometimes that might mean like going for a short walk, or, something to get yourself in that like zone. Kind of like if you regularly go to the gym, getting in the gym clothes, putting on the shoes, walking in the gym, you're mentally like already starting to go there, right? Like you get into that pattern. Or like when you go to a restaurant, you make the reservation, you walk in the door, like your stomach starts rumbling because you smell the smells. Like it's those things, like you have to be connected to your body. And that can really help. Another thing that I do is I have a really extensive capture way that I capture information. So like you had somebody said in the chat earlier about being in class and they get ideas when they're in class. I would definitely capture that information when you're in class, and you might not have time to sit and write at that moment, but capture all of the information that you can that's coming in your brain so that you can use it later when you have your writing time.
So basically just write down a note somewhere and hopefully you'll find it later at the time when you actually have the chance to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's actually something I found an interesting topic, at least, like thinking about moving on to a question of why do you want to have a creative life? What does having a creative life mean to you, April?
I think it means thinking outside my daily activities. And sometimes it means creating something that's tangible, that I can see afterwards, like watercolor painting, or a knitting project, or like a writing piece that I can share with other people. Sometimes it just means like exploring something new. So it could be like, this is kind of on the edge of creativity, but going on a hike with my kids and like just discussing big things that we're talking about. To me, that feels creative. That feels outside of my normal, mundane, everyday life. Like having conversations that are more than just gossiping about other people or what's on the news. Like having deep conversations with people where you're dreaming with other people, or you're talking about things that are fun, or I don't know, like it's just a little extra, What about you? What is a creative life? How would you define that?
That's also actually something it was a big try, because I didn't really, I've been writing pretty much all my life on and off, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it didn't really. I got more serious about it last autumn in November, roughly, when I basically just discovered Substack at that point, and this felt like perhaps if I try and go a little bit deeper, a little bit further into this writing thing, maybe I've figured that maybe I can find something that can inspire me more. And to me, it's been something that really allows me to feel more alive, in a sense, like that I'm able to give back to the world in some way that I feel might be valuable. I mean, perhaps this is just me thinking too grandiose and like, exaggerating what I like, how valuable what I do is, but it's still like something that I feel at least like there's tangible artifacts, and and it's something, at least I believe, are valuable things that I notice and try to pen down in ways that hopefully other people could recognize as well, and then think that, hey, that's me too, actually. And that would be one of the best reactions, I think, someone can have to one of my pieces.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that the creativeness, it's a chance to get to feel like you're alive. I mean, I don't do it like, yes, obviously I do enjoy seeing the reactions in my readers and in their comments or whatnot, but it's still, to me, the creative process is about the fact that I get to feel alive in a way that I can't get to feel in my regular work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, same.
That's one of those things also I love with this, in this live format. It's like I get to do the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah. I love chasing the thread, the connecting thread. So I love it when I'm reading a specific book and then I have a conversation with someone, and then I start thinking of ways to connect, like practical ways to apply that, or practical ways to share those ideas with other people, because I'm a teacher at heart. And so I love taking that thread and like following it and chasing it, and then coming up with something that could be helpful for somebody else. That just gets me so excited. I love it. I'm such a nerd. It's so hilarious.
I mean, that's actually being a nerd is something I remember when I was growing up in lower and middle school. We were pretty much, it was frowned upon even to be a nerd, but then now that I'm older, we're always going like, nerds unite.
Right? Yeah. Same.
But yeah, you talked about, you mentioned trying to find the threads in like books and stuff, that kind of talking about like gathering inspiration through books. Like, let's say if you find something that's actually inspiring in some book, like how does the process go from there to actually getting into inspired to creating something?
Yeah, so I read an excessive amount of books. I read over 100 books a year, approximately, depending on my year. So and that's audiobooks. That's also physical books. That's I haven't become an e-reader yet. I know that's like the next level to my reading that I need to just jump into, but I just haven't gotten there yet. So it's usually like a hardback, or it's audiobooks while I'm cleaning the house or walking or doing a million other things. And when I am reading and I hear something or I read something, I am a total highlighter. I really struggle when I have a hardback library book to not highlight in it. I have to like take all the pins and move them away from the couch, because if there is a pin near me, I will accidentally write in the library book and I'd be like, oh no, I have to pay for this now. So I mark up my books like crazy. I write in the margins, I put in tabs, I do sticky notes. My books look very well loved when I am finished with them. So I take tons and tons of notes. On the side, I have a commonplace notebook where I write down quotes and like information from books that I'm reading. I usually, if it's like a book that's really making me think and sticking with me and that I keep coming back to, I will decide to commonplace that. And so then that just means that I go through and I write out all the underlines, or I write like main points from each chapter, or I write like major things that stood out to me. So, and then from there, I just keep thinking about it, and it just keeps living in my head. And I just keep, well, if this idea goes to this, and then if somebody took this idea and did this, and then I just can't help it. I have to write about it. So either I'm journaling about it and it's just living in my own world, or I'm at my computer and my fingers are just like going and I'm just writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. So it can't stay inside me. I'm an external processor. So
that sounds like a perfect description of the flow state. Like when you actually get into the flow state, and then you write out. And I mean, I remember there's been a few pieces I've written, like I've been in such a flow state. I basically just sit down, write, and then suddenly I feel like this is pretty much ready. And all I do is then just proofread and do grammar checks and whatnot and push it out, because it feels ready at that point.
Do you have a process? Like I have a marinating process where all of the pieces that I write have to kind of sit for a little while. Do you do that with your posts? Do you like have a time between when you feel like it's done and when you post it, or how does that work for you?
Obviously, like what I try to do, assuming I have the time, the ideal situation is that I've written the post at least like 2 days before the actual publishing date is. And then what I do is I put it up in the Substack, do all the tags and the footers and headers and whatnot to try and get it to look nice there. I prefer to have 2 days in between, just to have time to read once or twice through it, like proofread it, like from my own point of view. Still, like, do I still think that this feels right 2 days later? Because so far, at least, every time I've had time to do this, I've always caught one or two more things that I feel like this should change a little bit. Yeah. Because you look at it with new eyes and you just realize that 2 days ago I didn't notice this glaring mistake, and now I do. So, but yeah, that's so if I get the chance, I prefer to have that 2 days of the time. But then sometimes, like what's happening, I actually have it. I should publish a piece tomorrow, but it's still like about 70% done at this point because I literally just haven't had the time to sit down and write it. So I just had to accept it that I'm not going to have that much time in between this time. But it is what it is. It's part of this whole gig, I guess.
Yeah. We have a comment that my marinating time is before the whole writing part. I sit and sketch out everything that I want to convey and give it some time and more things that could make it better and write. That is interesting. So it sounds like you're an internal processor, whereas I'm an external processor. I have to get it completely outside of me in the written word before I can like let it marinate and process. And so fascinating that it's so different for everybody. I think it's so cool.
That's one way that sounds to me like something I do occasionally on my piece, depending a bit on it depends on the topic that I'm writing about. But if the topic fits, what I usually do is I try to, bullet point pretty much exactly all the movements I want in the essay before I actually write it out. And then after that, it's roughly quite a lot easier to actually write down everything, because you have the whole piece mapped out in bullet points, and then just put words in between and remove the bullet points, and you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
So it's in a bit of a similar way, I think.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then we had the. Do you have any, or before I pull out my next question, have you got any thoughts or questions that you want to bring out at this point?
I think we hit on a couple of my questions that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and
okay, cool. There was actually one thing that, if you think about the thought of having like, we noticed that our life is pulling us in different directions all the time, like, and we're often forced to let the real life realities revise our plan on how we do our lives and stuff. Basically, then if you think about, like, you have it because you had a plan for July to do a lot of like plans on what you want to read and what you want to do with the family and stuff, and that just got scrapped completely. So
yeah.
Can you talk about that experience, like when you noticed that life just has a way of getting in the way, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Well, so as I said before, I'm an overachiever. So I like to make lots of plans, and my plans are very ambitious. And my ambitious plans go a lot of directions too. Like I have a lot of things I want to read. I have a lot of things I want to learn about. I have a lot of writing things I want to do. I also have like a bunch of adventures that I would like to have with my kids. I have places I want to go with them. I have things I want to do. And so I have enough tasks that I could live 180 lives. Like it's crazy. But I often have to be honest with how much time is in the day, how much energy I have, and what my priority is. And so this summer has been very unique because I have had like 6 young adults in my home. And then lots and lots of parties that we have hosted and events and things that have taken up a lot more of my time, that I have had to really kind of pull myself back on my ambitious plans for my own personal reading and curriculum and things that I want to learn about, because these people are in my home for just this summer. And really, relationships are most important to me. And so I really want to invest in those relationships and really focus on my family and serving them, and also just getting to be a part of their lives and getting to speak life into their lives and wisdom. And when they want to hear from me, I want to get to be there and be in that conversation. I don't want to be on the couch ignoring everyone with a book, even though sometimes I do. Because sometimes you need to draw boundaries and have downtime too. So there's definitely a balance. And but the majority of my summer has been very people-y. And that doesn't always match my plans. So I've had to adjust.
I mean, it sounds a bit like you want to make time for what matters in your life, and it sounds to me like what matters in your life then is clearly this personal relationships, but then on top of that also the feeling of fulfillment in your own life, like what gives you meaning in your life, and that one of those things definitely is or can be your family and your loved ones.
Yeah. Well, and I can't pour out of an empty cup is what I have to constantly remind myself. So when I am feeling empty and when I'm feeling depleted, that's when I tell all of them, hey, I'm not available this afternoon. I'm going to go spend some time in my office. And then that's when I shut myself away and I'm reading or I'm writing or I'm creating or I'm learning something. And then by that evening, I feel filled back up again. And then I can go back out and, make everybody dinner or have conversations about deep topics or go for a coffee shop run or whatever it is that they're excited about. But I try to pay attention to that like meter within myself of not letting myself get too depleted, because then I'm just grumpy and I'm not fun to be around anyways.
I mean, I think you've found it sounds to me like you found a really good way of like checking in with yourself and learning to monitor yourself and monitor your own energies, and therefore trying to ensure as much as you can that the people around you will only get the best version of you. I mean, obviously life will get in the way of that sometimes too, but for the most part.
Yeah. Which is really hard to do when you have young kids. And Dan, you mentioned you have young kids. When you have young kids, you just have to keep pouring out. You can't go tell them, hey, go make dinner and leave me alone. That doesn't work. So, there's life seasons where it's easier to make some heavier boundaries and some stronger boundaries for yourself. And then there's other times where you just have to pour from an empty cup, and it is so hard. And so that's rough.
Yeah, luckily to having my wife, or telling my wife now I need a moment, or having our grandparents visiting, that helps quite a bit because they can take care of the kids for a while. But but you can't pour from an empty cup, and there are times when I notice both my wife and myself, we're both feeling like we're doing that. So it's kind of hard then to tell her that, because she's completely like tapped out, and then I feel like I want to take a break, but then well, I can't really tell her when she looks destroyed that, hey, I need a break now. So then, well, I'll do something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Sometimes there's days where you just have to push through, and
mm,
it would be selfish. Like, there's that line where it's like, I'm taking care of myself. And then there's the line where it's selfish because you just think you deserve time or whatever. And
yeah,
it's rough. It's hard. It's hard to know where the line is.
it's very difficult, and small kids, unfortunately, kind of they force you to redraw those lines quite a bit, because they're, sometimes when I normally do it, I know that I could have always taken a break, but then with the kids, they sometimes choose that, hey, now it's not the time for a break when I want one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
So far, at least, I'm really happy that it hasn't happened that me and my wife, we were both that ill at the same time, that neither of us have been, gone at the same time. But so far, there's always been one of us who's been, well enough that we've been able to take care of things if the other one needs downtime. But still, fingers crossed that it won't happen.
If it does, you'll survive it.
Yeah, I mean, we're forced to do that at that point, but let's just say I hope that we don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and also, like Shanakia says in the chat there, that we have to prioritize in our life, and we don't want to tire ourselves out from doing all of the things that we think. So, and then some days it's fine to take a slow day. Like we were planning on, like sometimes it happens that in a weekend that we had actually plans to go somewhere, but both me and my wife, we both feel like, nah, we kind of prefer to even sit at home this weekend for whatever reason, and then just chilling instead.
Yeah.
And because something I've noticed that the kids, they'll find something fun to do regardless of where we are. So
They do. And a summer vacation or a holiday or whatever, it doesn't have to be packed with everything. It can just be days where you have time at home and everybody's relaxed, and yeah, there can be variety.
Yeah, the small people won't just sit down and relax, unfortunately. Like they'll run around.
Yeah.
But as long as they do play with each other at that point, we're still gonna get our downtime a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That makes me think about so I have different types of lists for my creative work. So I have lists that are like deep work and high energy, and then I also have lists that are for low energy. So when I'm having a day where I'm tired, I'm worn out, there's been a lot going on, there's still some things that I can do, that I can get done without showing up with full amounts of energy. So do you have something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's
I have a tickle in my throat. I'm so sorry.
No worries. There's always the like priority list in terms of like what tasks that need to be done in any given day. Like I have it. I'm sure I have the list written down somewhere, but it's been so ingrained in my head at this point. I don't feel like I need to look at it. I just, in the back of my mind, like depending on the day, I roughly know if I have the energy for this thing, I'll do this. If I don't have the energy, then well, I got these things at least that I can do. So it's you work on, find your way of doing it then. So yeah, can say what 7:30 p.m. here in 7:40 actually at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't look closely at the time.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, somebody's asking in the chat what time it is, so we're saying what time it is. There are different places. So Dan, you're in. Remind me where you're at. Finland. Okay,
Finland.
that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember for sure. And I am in the United States, specifically in the Southwest in Arizona.
Yeah.
So, but Arizona has its own like time situation, so that's why I have to say that I live in Arizona, because we don't always match all the other time zones. It's silly. I don't know.
It's one of those things that, from a European standpoint, I wouldn't have known either way. You just say that it's this time, and I would have just bought that straight away. I understand that for you, that's like, you have to think about that, these differences, or someone from the similar areas, you'd have to think about those.
Yep.
But for me, it's just, but I also know it's probably the same thing. Like I can say that we have the summertime here, which is a very European madness, but what can you do about it? So we have to deal with that, because I actually scheduled in something a few weeks ago, or no, a month ago now, with someone, and then I realized after scheduling that, oh wait, we actually live in summertime now, so the time schedule is 1 hour more than, or difference is 1 hour more than it normally would be. So
Yeah,
it
it's
is what
fun
it is.
living in a global community where we can
It is,
have
yeah.
conversations over oceans, and it seems like we're just right there in the next room. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And it looks like
there's a
people
comment
in the
from
chat are from Asia. She said she's from Southeast Asia. I love that. That's so great.
But strange how modern life is full of inconvenience, yet humans live more complicated lives. And actually, you bring up that actually is something that, or a thought that I try to think about a lot in my writing, because us humans, even if we get a lot of convenience around us through like food deliveries or our phones even and whatnot. There's plenty of conveniences, but as humans, we're generally not that simple. Like not a single human being is that simple that you could define us very easily. So trying to notice what are the, like, I hear quotes saying like from different philosophies that you should live a certain way, and yes, I actually think that's a nice quote and it fits most cases. But then there's always those exceptions where that actually doesn't apply anymore, and trying to notice when those exceptions occur, because that's actually something I find very interesting in terms of that. So yes, as human, our life is full of convenience. There's always lots of different solutions to many problems that we have in our lives, and I would agree to a big, long or a large extent that yes, our lives now are far better than it was like 50 years ago because we have a lot more conveniences.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we're still very complicated human beings, that our emotions are the best and the worst thing that happens, that is part of us. They're both the best and the worst, but we just have to live with it and learn how to live with our own emotions, because our own emotions, well, we have to learn how to deal with them, because some of our emotions are great and other we just have to understand what they do and then how to cope with it.
Yeah.
Like you brought up resentment earlier, and it's something that creeps up very easily, and it's not an attractive emotion, but it's still part of us, and knowing how to deal with it when it occurs to ourselves is a very valuable skill.
Yeah, I think it's important to notice when we're feeling stretched really thin, when we're feeling resentment, when we're feeling anger. When we wake up in the morning and look at our calendar and feel angry, that's a sign. That's a sign that something needs to change. That's a sign that adjustments need to be made. When our phone goes off and before we even see what the text is, we get like that feeling in our gut where it's like, oh, somebody needs something from me. Like that is not good. Like some adjustments need to be made, and it's going to be a hard road to make some adjustments. It's going to be, there's going to be parts of your life that are always going to be stressful, that are always going to be intense, that are always going to be going 1,000 miles an hour, because that's just the current world we live in. But there can be some pieces of your life where you slow down, where you have less demands being made on you, where you're expecting less from yourself. Maybe even it's just one day a week, maybe you live that really intense, fast-paced life most of your week, but then you just take one day a week and you just choose to slow down. That can make a huge impact. Or maybe it's just 1 hour in the evening, and maybe slowing down looks like reading a book or going for a walk, or whatever that looks like, but you're choosing to live at a different pace than what the rest of the world is going.
Yeah. There's Leo continued there that few people learn to use emotions and only react. Well, I mean, I don't think it's as few as most people think. Like there's a lot of people who do actually use their emotions, because the awareness of it has grown a lot. But unfortunately, yes, there's still many people who only react to their emotions. They don't understand that, hey, we can actually take advantage of them as well to some extent. No, it's not going to be perfect, and it's not a silver bullet for anything, but it's still something we can learn to take advantage of.
Yeah. And I feel like the creative life, it helps us understand things more deeply, and it keeps us from numbing out,
Yeah.
living that monotonous life where you're just going and going and going, and you're meeting everyone's expectations, and you're just pushing yourself until all that you can do is just sit on the couch and just be a zombie. That is not fun. Like you're not getting to feel that full range of emotions, and you're not getting to experience all of the things that this world has to offer, or that our creative lives can provide for us, or, you're not always appreciating all the relationships around you, because you're just seeing everything as tasks, or what is needed from me. And I think we can step out of that and step into something totally different, where we can think deeply and we can live differently.
That actually, this a little bit of a tangent here, but for me, I still remember that the first event that where my trigger came, where I actually switched from not only reacting to emotions but actually got to see it from a third perspective, was it was when the first time I actually could say I really burnt out and broke down and had a real big cry for like an hour or something. And after that, I realized and that basically made the trigger that, hey, I need to change something, but I didn't know what at the time, obviously, but I didn't change something. And I decided to take up an offer a friend of mine had made to talk with his dad, who's a social worker who's lots of experience with dealing with young adults in exactly the same situation as I was in. And basically I explained my situation to him in like 20 to 30 seconds or something, and then he had like a 20-minute monologue of what usually happens in my kind of cases, and I was just flabbergasted, like how someone who doesn't know anything about me could that accurately describe what I was going through and what had happened in my personal life at that point. And basically the main takeaway I got from that experience was just that he helped me look at my own situation from a third perspective, which is such a valuable skill. I think that it's something I don't know how to teach anyone, because I needed that moment of recognition, and then basically thanks to him, how he explained, I was able to lift myself up on the third perspective to view my own life, and it helped me analyze my emotions in ways that I couldn't before.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to learn, or to get started with learning how to actually how I choose to react to certain emotions I'm feeling. It's I'm still not going to say that my system is perfect. It's not, but I have a way of being able to analyze what I'm going through, and then trying to select what I want to experience, or how I want to react to this, instead of reacting the way I initially think I should react.
Yeah. Yeah, I think intentionality is so important, because when we realize that we have the ability to make changes, even if the actions that we're having to do are the same, if we're approaching it in a different way, it can really make a huge impact.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, but there was actually one more question I remember that I was looking through the questions I had for you, but there's one more I think that actually fits quite well here. Is you had written in June something about, like, you were reframing like home rhythms in terms of like how do they, like, reframing stuff that naturally occurs at home, and how they're like can be changed into conditions that acts in your favor, and that can be conditions for flourishing. So I was curious, like, could you elaborate on this a little bit?
Well, I call my blog Embracing Home, because for the longest time, when I became a stay-at-home mom, 20 something years ago, when I became a stay-at-home mom, I got really frustrated, and I felt like my house was running me instead of me running my house. And I felt like I was just always behind. And I felt really frustrated that I was like trapped. And then once I started changing my mindset towards loving my home and seeing it as a place to serve myself, serve others, to create a space where everybody feels loved and welcomed, not to have it be perfectly clean or to make the most amazing food, but to just like to see it as an intentional place where I could be in charge and I can make it the best environment for myself and for others. Then it really changed everything. And now that I homeschool, my husband works from home, and then I do writing at home. So all of our jobs and most of our lives are based around our home environment. And then now we also invite the community into our home. We have people over very often, a couple times a week. There's extra people in our home. I host a college ministry in my house, and large events and all kinds of things. And our house is not fancy. We have a lot of space, but it's not fancy. And it's just been really cool to change my mindset and realize that I am the one that has the not responsibility, but I have the ability to make it a wonderful space, to make it the best place that I want to be. It's sometimes it can be difficult for us to go on vacations because we love our home so much that we don't want to go other places. Like when you curate what is your surroundings, and when you make a space that it feels welcoming and comfortable, and when you have everything that you need, it's hard to go other places. And that's what I've tried to do and that's what I've tried to explain to other people. Like, it's not about when you do laundry, or clean the floors or whatever. Like it's an attitude that you have towards your space, and towards hospitality, and also just making it a place that's comfortable for yourself. So.
Yeah. No, that's a wonderful way to frame it, and that to actually, in your case, it feels like it's a pretty much a perfect match in terms of like you're stay-at-home mom. So obviously you got lots of time, but not necessarily lots of time, but you spend a lot of time at home. So you obviously want the space you spend most of your time in to be something that supports the life that you want. So, or at least that feels like it makes sense. So that therefore, likely you'd want to try to think about it and try to do the tasks in ways that supports getting you into the point, the space or the point where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then also that's homeschooling thing. Like, I mean, I get it, but I'm not sure if I would want to do that for my kids.
It's rough. It's not it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are days where I'm like, why am I doing this? This is crazy. So yeah.
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 I can understand that.
It's hard. Yeah. It's and being together with my family all the time is wonderful and also exhausting. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Just looking at what Leo wrote here, actually quite a bit of a text, but when you're describing when you learned about the emotional reactions when you were 3, that's wonderful if you managed to learn about those emotional reactions that early, because for me at least, like I remember having heard about them before, but I hadn't really understood them before I was in an older adult. So I don't know if that's nobody taught me or if I was just too stubborn to listen when someone tried to teach me it earlier. It could have been either. So it's not something I can say about that, but it's still, if you had the earlier you learn it, the better, I'd say.
Yeah. I think that personal growth is super important, and that no matter what stage of life we're in, there's always room for us to grow and room for us to keep learning, about what this next stage can hold, or what this next area can be that we can step into. And so I'm always trying to push myself with personal growth. That's why I read so much nonfiction, because I feel like it's like getting the best parts of what somebody has understood about something and then being able to like make it my own and process it and then use it in my own life. You know, like if I could sit down with you know, a bunch of famous people and hear what they think the most important pieces of their life, then I would do that for free, right? Like, so getting to get a book written by someone who has thoughtfully thought through what they want to share with someone else is just, it's a gift. And that
it is,
that's how I view nonfiction. And so that's, I really look carefully at who wrote the book and what were the reasons behind why they wrote the book. And my dog is making noise. And then do I want to learn from this person, and do I want to grow in this direction? And then, you know, I add that to my stack and really enjoy reading it. So
that's wonderful that you found the system like that works like that for you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time, and it's look about getting. I'm not needed quite yet to help take care of the kids and put them to sleep, but it's getting closer. So do you have any?
It's getting late for you. Did we go through all your questions? Did you have any more questions left?
No, I mean, I do, but we can take them some other time. It's not like that's a good thing when you prep for these kind of things. Like I prepared many questions, but then I use what feels fitting, and like I'm completely fine with not using all of them. Obviously, first off, at this point, if there's any questions from the audience that you want to ask us right now before we close off, then now is a good chance to write them in the chat. And for April, do you have any, like, one of those, you could say, closing thoughts or closing question that you'd like to just inspire thinking or inspire deep thinking for the audience? What would that be?
Oh gosh. Okay. I think I would challenge everybody to think of one small thing that you can do this week to expand the way that you're thinking with your creative life. Like, what is one small action that you want to take? Maybe a book that's been sitting on your shelf, or maybe a hobby that you had when you were in junior high or in high school or when you were younger that just made you come alive. Or maybe there's a journal that you haven't used for a while that you want to get out and write some notes in. Just take like 15 minutes for yourself and do something fun that doesn't create results that everybody can benefit from. Like, just something for you. And then see what that feels like, and see if that's something that you want to go back to, or if you want to try something different. But be okay with experimenting and trying small things to make some changes, because it doesn't have to be a whole life makeover. It can just be something small.
And taking the first step, basically, like baby steps, kind of just seeing whatever it is that can happen or can get them in the right direction.
Yeah. What about you? What would you say?
When I said out the word direction, it kind of popped into my mind is that I view life as that I don't really have a set goal where I exactly want to end up in life. I have a I have a horizon and I have a direction where I want to go. But I'm not entirely sure what exactly I see in the horizon either. So whenever I try to navigate my life, I try to choose, or when I get the chance to choose something, whatever new it is, I try to think does this lead me in the same direction that I know that my horizon is in? And if I choose yes, then I would go that way. And if I think it doesn't lead me in that direction, I would pass on that chance, whatever that opportunity might be. So yeah, basically the question would be that, do you feel like you're moving in the direction of the whatever that life is that you want to have in the future? Do you feel like you're moving towards it?
Yeah, that makes sense. And you have to get there with small steps, right?
Yeah, I mean, that depends. Some people know exactly where they want to go, and that's great. I would say I envy them, but I don't have the luxury. So what I have is a vague idea or vague sense of where I want to go, but I don't really know exactly where that will end up.
Yeah.
Where I will end up. So who knows? Anyways,
was so much fun to talk with you, Dan. Thank you
yeah,
so much for this opportunity. Thank
yeah,
you for everybody who came. It was so cool to see a chat full of people with questions and all kinds of fun things to talk about.
yeah. I love this audience participation. This live, there was lots of good points to bring up as well to expand on what we're talking about. Yeah, like everybody, go check out April's Substack. Subscribe to her if you haven't already. She writes about a lot of cool stuff. So, and other than that, I think we're ready to sign off, and then wish everybody a good day or good evening or good night, depending on where you live.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome.
Anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in some other live or some other essay that I'm writing. Yes.
Sounds good.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.